Congressman, your theory is that we're not only homegrown terrorists, we're actually experiencing situations where dangerous countries, Al-Qaeda, will send a pregnant woman over here, have a baby, and then start to train these babies to be terrorists. Is that right?
Well, Eric, it's not just a theory. It first came to my attention, some of us were traveling to the Middle East last August, a year ago, and a lady on the plane was telling one of our group that they were about to have their second granddaughter. Her husband was with Hamas. Her son-in-law was with Hamas, and that they were going to do with the second as they did with the first grandchild. Daughter's going to come to America right before it's born on a tourist visa, have the baby. They just like the option of having American citizens in the family. Hamas we recognize as terrorists. They're coming over here. Oh, and she added as a real and you know what the best part of it is? We don't have to pay anything for the baby to be born. We're bringing them over here on tourist visas, some illegally, letting them be born here and saying this is an American citizen, so come back in 20, 25 years when you're ready to blow us up. This is not just theory. And I've talked to a retired federal agent who had said this was one of their concerns, that they were looking into cells doing just that, having pregnant women come over and have babies here. In the way that the terrorists want them to go. It's a serious issue.
It's really not that far-fetched. We had a attempted subway plot to blow up the New York City subways by an American citizen, and we had the Faisal Shahzad, the Times Square bomber, attempt to blow up Times Square here, another American citizen. So it almost makes sense, you know, really start from the cradle.
Well, I mean, what an attractive nuisance this is. And some people are confused by the 14th Amendment. If you read it, it says born and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. If they wanted people in the Constitution to be born citizens just by being born here, why would you have the conjunctive and subject to the jurisdiction? We got diplomats that have kids here that aren't American citizens. And so there's just all this confusion about what the Constitution does or doesn't say. And so I think it'd perfectly be legitimate to have a law, a legislative law that just says subject to the jurisdiction means that you have to be born to someone documented legally here in the United States in order to be an American citizen. We have got to cut off the attractive nuisance of luring in women who are pregnant, belonging to terrorist groups, who can have their baby and then go train them 25 years to make them suicide bombers and then send them in to do their worst.
Is that what's happening? Are they having babies here and then these children are going back to Pakistan, Yemen, being trained in terrorist organizations?
We heard from one woman herself who was, her husband and son-in-law were with Hamas. We recognize Hamas as terrorists. It's part of our enemy's outreach. And so if they're doing that, then it's easy to understand. That baby, according to the grandmother, was going to be brought back, raised up there, and then come back someday if they want them to.
And so then these
stuff.
So then these babies, not only are they're born here and the expense of the birth being borne by the American citizen, but health care, education, protection, law enforcement, forever.
Yeah, and Eric, one of the reasons I put that in my alternative health care bill is that one of the things that's got to be required to get a visa to come here legally, you have to show that you have health care insurance waiting for you that you'll be under, so you will not be an expense to the American taxpayer, because we're told there are 1.5 billion people wanting to immigrate, come to America, 300 million here. We can't handle that many. We can't let people bankrupt the most attractive nation for people to come immigrate to. We have to require people to do it legally, and that they will not be a burden on the rest of the American taxpayers when they come. We can't afford it.
And that will that partially solve the problem? I mean, if someone is granted legal immigration, well, the question is real quickly that someone could be granted legal immigration, still have that baby and send it back to wherever for terrorist training?
Well, see, we could pass a law that says if you're here on a visa, you're not subject to the jurisdiction. We can send you out at any time. And one of your prior guests kept talking about, you know, constitutional rights. She obviously, on one ignorant about the application of the Constitution. I bet she doesn't know that the U.S. military that are protecting her rights don't have the same rights constitutionally that she does. Probably doesn't know that. So we have people here ignorant about the military saying, we're giving civil rights to the military. Wouldn't that be special? I was in the Army 4 years. I know there were times I would love to have told a superior officer, you know what? I got freedom of speech. Let me tell you where to stick that. 5 a.m. forced march in the morning, I'm going to assemble somewhere else. It doesn't work that way. The Constitution just anticipates different groups will have different rights. And if you come here illegally, if you're born here illegally, you're not going to have the rights everyone else has.